You got it.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me, Cindy Johnston, your host with Love Where You Live. Today, we have the opportunity to speak with a local company, Homestar Deep Root, from right here. They specialize in looking after our trees, the roots, and making sure they stay alive, and do their best to keep them as healthy as they can. So without further ado, let's welcome Homestar Deep Root. Hi, guys. Angela, Clark, how are you?
Hi, thanks for having us.
Amazing. Thank you guys for being here today. So you're right from the area. Where is it that you're located right now?
So the new subdivision in Wasaga, when you're coming into Wasaga, Georgian Sands,
Okay,
yeah, right in
very
there.
nice. How long
That's
have you
where
been there?
our office is. Well, I had a place there for a few years, like when they were first built, and then that's kind of like our office, our hub space now.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
So going on 3 years now.
Wonderful. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Homestar Deep Root?
Yeah, sure. So Homestar Deep Roots started with a parent company. It was a Mr. Treeman in the city. It was an offering that Mr. Treeman added to not just taking down trees and caring for the trees in the city. He saw a need for some nurturing for the shrubs. So instead of just taking down the tree, they would fertilize it and bring it back to life, because you don't always want to take down a sick tree. You want to give it some nutrients and bring it back around. And James is really good at talking about the process, what we go through with it. James, if you want to.
Yeah, and Angela's right. I've had Mr. Treeman in the Greater Toronto area for about 12 years now. And because we're doing more and more work out of the city, we started just to focus on tree health. So that's everything from deep root fertilizing to soon to be offering pesticides for gypsy moth and things like that. As I stopped climbing trees, I noticed more of a need for me to do things that weren't so physical, and deep root and the pesticide spraying are some of the things that most people in my industry sort of graduate to after years of abusing ourselves. This is the most important part of it, because if you can save a tree before it needs to be removed, it obviously adds to our environment as a benefit, and it's also a lot less expensive than removing trees. So typically in an urban environment, which is what we mainly service, it's unlike a forest where they get lots of trees and leaves and things that people don't rake up, blow away, or otherwise remove. The trees in an urban environment are competing with grass, asphalt, everything else, are not getting any nutrients at all. And people will go over and they'll say, "Look at my tree. It's 50 years old. It's 100 years old." And I'll look around the thing and they'll say, "This house is 100 years old," and the tree hasn't had any new nutrients in 100 years. So it's amazing how these things can survive and spread and take from other trees or weaker species in order to survive. So it's really important to give those trees the proper nutrients that they need, rather, that they would otherwise get in sort of a rural setting or forest setting. And people are sort of amazed, and when you tell them that, they realize, hey, maybe that's why the trees in the urban environment don't live as long as they do in a rural setting. For instance, a birch tree in the city of Toronto will live approximately 45 years because of pollution and poor soil conditions. Outside of the city, it could be another 15, 20, 30 years in a forest setting. So we really need to take care of our trees, so that they last a long time. Not only for the financial aspect of removing trees, but obviously for the benefit to the environment and the aesthetic appeal that we all love when we look out the window and see them.
So, you know what? That's very interesting when you put it like that, because, we go out and we garden. We constantly fertilize our gardens of those flowers that will literally live for 3 months, and that's it. And we put so much effort into it. But including myself, I would never think to go out to my tree, whether it be at the back or the front here, and actually consider adding nutrients to them, because in my mind, they're getting what they need from the ground.
Yeah, and that is a real misconception I just went through. And in addition to that, we have to be really careful where we're fertilizing, what we're fertilizing with, because everyone says, "Oh, put nitrogen, those little sticks in, and what have you, into plants and what have you," and that's great. That'll give them a real pop. They'll grow quickly and what have you. But nitrogen is salt, and salt kills and burns roots. So, for instance, if you had a Japanese maple or a nice cedar hedge, and you put too much nitrogen down, you're going to kill your hedge or your Japanese maple. So certain trees need certain nutrients. Other ones you leave alone completely. And it's really important to know the difference. Different times a year require different fertilizers. You know, people think, oh, look, it's the end of the summer and I want to fertilize. That heat like we're getting now, the high salt, the lack of rain will kill stuff. Or the other thing that they'll do is they'll do this in the fall, and they'll put nitrogen in sticks or fertilizer they buy off the shelf in the fall, and that will push the trees to sort of grow at a time when they should be slowing down and protecting themselves and getting ready for the winter. So and that typically means less nitrogen and more other things. So it's really important to know the right time, how much to fertilize and what to leave alone. So everything's connected under the ground. All the trees are connected.
That's
In
amazing.
fact, I'll just go off topic here a little bit. Trees actually talk to each other under the ground in their own way. If one tree is sick, then the other healthy tree near it will allow that one tree to get more nutrients out of the ground. It'll slow down its intake to allow the other one to feed. So there's really a whole other world out there with trees and how they're all interconnected. And that's part of the great stuff about our business. There's a book, Secret Life of Trees. If you ever read it, it's really, really interesting. It has all this in it.
I've never heard of it, but that is very, very interesting.
Yeah, cool.
That's amazing. So how did you get into it? Like, how did you get into the tree industry?
So I was in it in high school on the tree side of a big landscape company, and did it for a little bit after that. And then went on with my life, became a stockbroker and a bunch of other careers. In the crash of 2008, I decided at that point that I wanted to get back outside and not be in front of a screen all day. And I came back and started Mr. Tree Man, and took off from there. And it's been tremendous. And like everybody says, it's customer focused and everything. It really is. And if you go on other sites like Homestars and what have you, and look at our reviews, they're top notch. We win the best of every year, and that's because of our real approach to the client, where it's not financially based. In fact, often what I'll do is tell people you don't need to do anything, and they're amazed by that. And so it's that loyalty. When someone doesn't need something, they don't need it. They don't need to spend the money. And often as far as the Homestar and that type of thing goes, often it's like, you don't need to prune your trees this year. There's nothing in there that's going to hurt you. Save the money. Give me a call in 2 years, but let's feed these trees. Let's make them healthy, and we'll come back in 2 years and do everything that needs to be done, as opposed to going back and back and back. It's very, very expensive. So we try to limit that, and we build loyalty and brand loyalty with that. And the Homestar Deep Root is taking off as well because of that. And people are seeing the real results. So.
Oh, that's amazing. So do you find up in this area, are you working more for individuals or larger corporations, or do you do a bit of both?
Both, really. So there are some companies that construction stuff that we'll subcontract for as well. We're starting to talk to some of the larger sort of developers and property managers. There's nothing worse, and it almost makes me sick. In fact, I made a call this morning about some poor tree work from a landscape company. I had to, because they're going to lose all of their trees because something so simple that they're doing. Anyway, it's another story. But how many times have you gone into a new subdivision, and a year later, while they're finishing off the homes, half the trees are dead that they planted? It's brutal. It's poor planting, no watering, no fertilizing, and they lose half their trees. And forget the financial aspect, which is huge. It's terrible that these trees are dying. So that's sort of a market that we are looking at as well. But often it's word of mouth. And we talk to lots of tree companies and pool companies and other people that are in the area. People don't think of that. When you put a pool in, you're cutting roots, you're hurting the trees.
Yeah.
Any injury to the tree. So we're leveraging all the local companies to sort of be their tree protection, tree health people.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
You're
Angela does that.
Yeah.
I get to
and
go
just
out
all
and
the
do the work.
behind the all the behind the scenes.
Yeah, I get to go out and do the actual physical stuff, and she gets to organize it all. So it
And look,
works
like
well.
he's so passionate about it, so knowledgeable. So like it's really like it's amazing to listen to him speak about it, because to listen, like every time I hear him when he's with somebody, it's like, oh, I've learned something new. And like you're right, and a lot of times, like yourself, you don't think that you need the fertilizing. You don't think of it, but then once you hear about it, you're like, oh right, maybe that's something we should do. So that's why we also partner up with some of these bigger companies and work with them, because they're already in front of the clients and can speak to the reasons for it. So it helps get us into the yard, so to speak, to partner with these people, until people really get an understanding and realize, oh wow, I could spend a fraction to try to rehabilitate the tree as opposed to take it down. I still have this beautiful tree in my yard.
Yeah, and quite often, like, when I'm out and about talking to people, and one of the things is, well, the tree's dead, we've got to take it down. It's very interesting to hear that, maybe you don't have to take it down. And if you are considering purchasing the house, maybe these are the people you need to talk to see if it's true or not true. Almost no different than home inspectors in some cases. Some of the rural properties, it's almost like you would be a huge benefit to come in with the potential homeowners or the homeowners to have a look at them, because quite often people are drawn to the trees, or that's what they want, but they think in their mind that they're dead.
I can't tell you how often that happens, and how and I do work and have worked with some real estate agents to do a pre-purchase tree inspection. People always get to check the house out, and they don't realize they have a massive tree in the back. They bought the house in the winter, the tree's dead, they have no clue. And they turn around, they get a $10,000 bill for the removal of the tree for some massive oak tree or something that they had no clue was happening. So really, really important to, when you're purchasing a house or what have you, to have a professional come in, look at the trees, and even then they can say, hey, this is going to cost, that's going to cost, this is too close to the foundation, this one's in poor health. It's at least when you go in, a ballpark of what it's going to cost you when you walk to that door.
Yeah, no, and it's very interesting, because I can fully see the benefit of what you're talking about, especially out in this area, because there are so many rural homes. Obviously not necessarily if you're buying in a subdivision where it's all concrete and asphalt. There's probably none of those beautiful 100-year-old oak trees or there anyway. But I'm not saying all trees are important, and I think we all know that. But it's, when you are buying that rural property, it's not about taking it down. It's really about how do you keep it, because that farmhouse has been there for over 100 years, as have those trees, chances are, if
And
not
that's
longer.
it. And that's it. And so many people call for fertilizing, spraying, gypsy moth. Imagine having a 30-acre lot, beautiful lot, rural lot with gorgeous trees on it, and you get gypsy moth and it kills all your trees.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
you don't have a lot anymore. You have dirt, you have nothing. So it's really important to maintain the tree health. And the other thing is, things like gypsy moth, other bugs, funguses, bacteria and stuff, they attack weak trees, just like humans. When we're beaten up, our immune system's down, we're more susceptible to colds and other diseases. So are trees. So you're not going to be able to stop every infestation or issue with your tree, but a healthy tree has way more resistance than one that doesn't. So it's almost like that vitamin, if you will, for the tree to say, hey, don't bug me, go to the next tree, if that's what you're going to do. So really important to maintain healthy trees for the longevity of them. And you got to think of them like people almost. I don't want to be weird about that, but you do. Like they're living organisms, right? They're living organisms, and because they can't talk, doesn't mean that they don't they don't have a life cycle and benefit from proper nutrition.
Your passion just comes completely through everything you say. It's unbelievable. Like it's almost infectious. Maybe you should be the one writing the book.
Yeah, well, no, but
Don't
yeah,
add
I am pretty
anything else.
passionate about it for sure.
Honestly, I find this extremely like what you're saying is completely invaluable. Like it's so important, and I think that more people need to know. And so I'm so glad that when I posted that, Angela, you reached out, because I actually can't wait to share this with people. I think it's just unbelievably important. And I don't think enough of us think about it. No different than like you're talking about the moths and the caterpillars and all of that, we've been hit hard with all over the place. We're even noticing it where I am up here in Springwater. But to know that there's somebody out there that you can actually ask the questions to and give you like an honest answer, that to me is the most important thing. When not only do you have the passion for it, you'll be honest. You're not driven by necessarily the dollars and cents of that person calling you. You're driven by the fact you want to save that tree.
Exactly. We go out, it's all free estimates. And as I said, often I tell them, you're doing everything right. Trees look great. Call me when there's a problem, because that they will. And that's it's the success is a byproduct of doing what's right. So, and people are like, wait a minute, you came by, you did, I was expecting I was going to have to spend this or that or the next thing. And it's not, sometimes you do, like sometimes you need to do stuff.
Yeah.
We're not a nonprofit. However, trees, they need what they need. And sometimes you can overdo things. You can over fertilize, you can over prune, you can damage them. So we don't want to do that.
That's very interesting. I'm so glad that you were able to hop on here, and we get the infectious personality you have towards these beautiful things
Well,
we have, and I think a lot of us take it for granted. I mean, there's nothing like I love wood. I love trees. I love everything about them. They're very magical and they're whimsical. They're beautiful. So I'm feeling your passion and I'm very excited. I'm very excited for this. And I'm excited for you guys up in this area. Is there anything else that you guys want to mention about your business? Anything you want to put out there?
Angela?
Call us. Let us come do an assessment. Let us fertilize your trees and shrubs.
Awesome. And do you want them to call you? What would the
So
number be?
Yeah, they can call us. They're booked right on our website. We'll come over. We either can do a quote via video, phone, or we'll come right out, just depending on the size of the job. And we can turn it around pretty quickly, usually not same day, but within the week, we can get it done for you.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, guys, without further ado, we're going to end our video today and our chat. I am so grateful that I was able to talk with you guys. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you're in the field, and just coming in just to give us that outlook that I think a lot of people need to have towards the trees, and just it helps our environment. It helps so many things. So guys, if you are in need of anything to do with your trees, please call them or go to homestardeeproot.com. You can book your online appointment there. And like Angela said, they can do video call or come out depending on the size of the job. And of course, if you have any real estate questions or concerns or just want to chat about the market, please call me, Cindy Johnston, 705-627-6721. And that ends our episode of Love Where You Live. Thank you so much, everybody. And hope everybody has a fantastic day.